CAD 402 Basics of InDesign. So InDesign is the third part of the trinity of Photoshop, Illustrator, and then InDesign. File new to create a new document. You have the measurements. You want to change that to inches because the default is a pica, and picas are actually used in book and magazine design. So that is the default. Those of you that want to go into that area, you can change your custom sizing. And we want to do 11 by 14. So that means I want to go landscape and I want to go 14 by 11 for a custom document. And I'm going to create that. Make sure facing pages is clicked here. It is the default. And I have basically a workspace here. So you have your basic pages, which you can create by just clicking on a plus sign down here, and it'll add new pages into your document. However, InDesign has a very cool function called master pages. And with your masters, you can work on something up here, and then you click and drag it into your document, and it will populate it with anything that's on the document. It's very handy for things like when you are putting page numbers in. So I'm going to put in a page number right now and show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to use the type tool, and I need to save that as a special thing. How do I do that again? Give me one moment. I have to get back to my notes and remember how to put page numbering in because it's slightly complicated. There you go. All right, let's get back to my. So it is type, insert special character markers. That's what I want. Okay, so I'm going to type, pull down menu, insert special character. There we go. And markers, current page number. So it's a little complicated to set up in the first place. And I'm going to want my page numbers to be right and left-hand side. So I'm going to just Control-C, Control-V that one, and pull it into the other side of my document. And I want to, because it's going to remember that I've inserted the special character in there. Now, however I format that text, because right now it is whatever the default is. Let's see what InDesign is defaulting, because it's like a little teeny weeny little font. Let's see, what are you? It has Minion Pro 12 points. So we're going to select something else that's a little more graphic. We'll do an Arial black, and we'll do it like an 18 point. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Change it to an Arial black. And how big did I make it? 18? Okay, and then the last thing I want to do is, you see how I have it nice and flush against the side of my printable part? This little bounding box shows what can print on your page. It's called a bleed. So sometimes you don't want to go outside of that, or it will not print on a regular printer, or you have to print it and trim it. So stay within that box, and you can adjust the bleed if you need to. But this one, you see how it's justified to the left? I want to justify it to the right because I want the page numbers to mirror each other. So I go to this little one over here, and I just move that. I could align in the middle, align to the right, align to the left. Okay, so what that's going to look like is, you see I've got some pages happening, and it says everyone that has a little A on it means it's an A mastered by default, okay? Which is what we want. So I'm going to drag these into here. And if I edited my master pages to create new ones, a B parent, a C one, and I drag them in, it would change how it looks. And now I'm going to head back into my document, and you will see I have page numbering automatically, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that is the first and probably one of the most important ways for us to use our master pages, is to put pagination in there, right? The other thing you can do is place a logo or a name, a title, like say the magazine would have their header or their footer on the master page, and it would automatically populate. Now I actually want to get into my document and start adding some other things to it, because I don't need to have what I'm doing on page 2 going all through it. So then I double click in the actual workspace here, which is your live pages as opposed to master pages. So don't get confused, because sometimes students will be working on a master and thinking they're working in the document. Other times you'd be working in the document thinking you're working on a master. So just be clear where you are. This kind of stuff takes a little bit of practice because it can be a little confusing. Okay, so I'm going to create a text box because I want to put in some text. And it's just basically a click and drag. Oops, I accidentally clicked and drag 2. No, I want to start with you. And then you can grab your text from Word, which is where I like to clean up all of my text I'm going to be using in the document. And then you click into the text box and then Control V. Now I've got this little red plus sign down there. That means I've got more text than can fit in the box I've got. So there's various ways to handle this. The boxes themselves are quite easily manipulated. You can just actually click and drag a corner, but I still have too much information in my poem to comfortably fit in one box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a second box. And then what you can do is head back to your type tool. If you click on that little red plus sign, it's going to remember where you are copying from and continue it in your new document. Come here, you. Used to. All right, let's see what's happening. Da, 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 da. I need to load up my cursor. There we go. Okay, so apparently it's black arrow now. I'm going to, and it populated it down there, which I don't want. There we go. I'm going to click on that. And when you see, let me step back and make sure everyone gets that. Okay, so black arrow. If I click on that little red plus sign, all of a sudden I have this floaty text, and that's the rest of my document on like the rest of my text from the first box. And I can click on box number 2 and it will link them. And this is what you do when you have like longer pieces. If you've got a bunch like an article or an essay, you will link the text because then it'll dynamically change as you're editing parts of it. Once you get back into your box, you can then just go in, highlighting certain areas and change your fonts. You can also do default fonts for your whole document. You can apply styles to your text. And as I've adjusted it one, it automatically will flow it through into the next one. And again, if I make the box itself smaller, it'll flow that text as well quite comfortably. So that's part 1. The other part is file place, which is when we are grabbing our images. You've got the loaded cursor. You can click and drag to size it into your document the exact same way we did with placing our images in Illustrator. You've got this little donut here that allows you to do adjustments and editing of the photos. We're going to get into photos week 2, but I want you to understand the basics. And then the other aspect is you've got your shapes. Let me find my swatches. Do they have swatches in InDesign? They call it color. Oh, they do have swatches. Okay. Window color swatches. If you are working in a design studio, you would once again have the Pantone available. Let's see what kind of color libraries we have in here. Load swatches. Yeah, they don't have any default color books, so you would load in color books that way. I think we're better off doing eyedropper to get custom color from our images. Is that going to work? Yes. Okay. So you can create shapes. You can color your text boxes. You can color your text as well. But again, we'll get more into that next week. I want you to understand the basics this week. The other final thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a color background on this page. And I'm going to do it just by creating a large shape. And then I'm going to eyedropper a color, and then I'm going to arrange, send to back. There we go, arrange. So that can give you a colored background for your page. So that's pretty much the basics for this week that I would like us to work through in class today.